and I'll be hosting today's webinar. We also have Maika Sanderson on the line, who has been in contact with most of you about the Farm to School grant program and the review process, and hopefully again she'll be able to get connected and participate a bit during the call, but again I will be leading it. So a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Just wanted to let everyone know you have all been muted, and we will be emailing the PDF slides and attachments after the webinar, and we will also send a survey at that time too. And we will be recording the webinar and putting it, I believe, on our website, but it may just be coming in email format. To make a comment or a question, we'll try to answer them throughout the presentation and hold them for the end as well, but since all of your lines are muted, just send them into the chat function and we will try and see if we get a bunch of similar questions, and then we'll try to answer them at the end. So we do have a webinar training schedule. We have the one that you're all in right now, and then you will have to participate in a second one. The next one, we have a general reviewer training, which is tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and another one for the team leads, which is on Thursday. And we do ask that you listen to those prior to the grant review period, which begins on January 23rd. And again, if you aren't able to listen in to those at the time when they are presented, then you can listen to them from the email recording. So today we do have a lot of things that we're going to cover, but mostly this is for the USDA Farm to School program. So by the end of this, you'll have a really great understanding about what Farm to School means at the USDA, and you'll be experts and prepared to review the applications with a different lens. And for the upcoming webinars, we will take a different stance, and we will really go into the nuts and bolts of how to actually be a reviewer. Today we'll talk about general Farm to School strategies. We'll also discuss the grant program. We'll describe how the Office of Community Food Systems focuses on technical assistance in research and evaluation. We'll also briefly introduce the Farm to School team and discuss the fiscal year 2017 goals for that application. And then at the end, we should have about 10-15 minutes for questions, but we did get a little delayed start. And I just want to confirm that everyone can hear me. It looks like we have some questions in the chat box. Someone could just verify that I'm talking and you can all hear. That would be wonderful. Okay, great. Everyone can hear me. Okay, moving forward. So the USDA's Farm to School program is housed in the Food Nutrition Services Office of Community Food Systems. Often used interchangeably with the term local food system, a community food system is one in which food production, processing, distribution, and consumption are integrated and proximal, benefiting the environment, economy, and social and nutritional health of a particular community. Across the agency, this focus on local foods is proving to be an effective strategy for improving the health and nutrition of our program participants. The USDA's Farm to School program and the Farm to School grant program was officially established in 2010 with the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. Through this act, a Farm to School program was established with three main objectives. The first was to distribute grant funding to improve access to local foods in schools. The second was to provide training and technical assistance to improve access to these components in schools as well. And the third is to disseminate research and data on existing programs and opportunities for Farm to School program expansion. We're going to discuss each of these components in greater detail throughout the webinar. The term Farm to School is generally understood to include efforts to bring local or regional foods into the school cafeteria and teach children about where their food comes from. We know these programs are most effective when local procurement is paired with nutrition and agriculture education. In addition to local food procurement, Farm to School programs can include experiential learning opportunities such as farm visits, school gardening, and cooking classes. Lessons about food, agriculture, and nutrition can be integrated into normal math, health, and science curricula. Farm to School procurement activities can enhance educational activities and vice versa. To elaborate, a procurement relationship established with a local farmer might lead to a farm field trip or a farmer classroom visit. Food and nutrition education in the cafeteria, similarly, might lead to more clean plates as kids begin accepting new and different foods. So what does farm to school actually look like? As you can see from this plate or image, farm to school isn't just about fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's not just about farmers. Local and regional foods can include beans, grains and flour, meat, poultry, fish, condiments, herbs, eggs, and dairy. And these products can come from local farmers, ranchers, fishermen, food processors, and distributors of all sizes. Fruits and vegetables are common and a logical starting place for local procurement. Fresh fruits are especially easy because many can be served with little to no preparation beyond washing. But the most comprehensive farm-to-school programs incorporate local products in all of the food categories that you might see on this plate. Some of the more developed programs adjust existing recipes and menus to accommodate for local products. For example, using bison in place of beef or barley in place of rice. Another example is during the summer months, you can freeze the local abundance, so cutting corn off the cob and freezing it for later, or freezing diced carrots, etc., or even making a fresh tomato sauce and freezing those to use throughout the school year. There are many models for getting local food into school cafeterias, and they are not necessarily exclusive of each other. Many schools work with their distributors to source local products, specifying a preference for local foods when the contract is established. This is a very easy way to bring local products into schools without creating separate distribution channels. Similarly, schools can request that their food service management companies procure local foods. School food authorities may opt to buy local ingredients and then procure the processing services from a processor to convert those locally grown products into a finished product, for example, salsa, carrot chips, or hamburger patties. Some schools choose to purchase directly from local farmers, ranchers, and fishermen. Some schools set up contracts with producers well in advance of the growing season, forward contracting it's called, to establish a specific volume and product they intend to buy at a specific price. Other schools buy month to month or even week by week based on what's affordable and available. Sometimes farmers deliver straight to schools, and other times schools pick up produce at the farm directly or at a farmer's market. In some areas, producers have organized into cooperatives or food hubs, aggregating their products and combining their marketing efforts. These groups are more likely than a single producer to be able to fill the sometimes very large orders that schools will place, and can deliver directly to schools, and some can even provide minimal processing. And finally, while school gardens don't usually produce enough food to make up a significant portion of a school meal, depending on the district size, fruits, vegetables, eggs, and other products grown on-site at school can supplement salad bars and be served as snacks or as part of special programs such as the Harvest a Month tasting program. There are many models for local procurement that can support local purchasing and also meet federal and state procurement requirements and guidelines. There is no federal definition of what it means to be local. School districts, communities, and states decide how they want to define local. And it can be a certain radius, maybe 25 miles or 300 miles from the school district or community, or it can mean within the county, state, or region. You can also modify the definition of local depending on what's in season or a specific product or for special events. So there's a lot of flexibility in defining local. So shifting gears a little bit and tying all back together, we're focused on bringing local foods into all of our school meal programs, in particular in the cafeteria. We also support pre-K programs, so getting produce to our earliest eaters and helping to establish early eating behaviors. We also support farm-to-summer programs and really taking advantage of the bounty that the summer months offer. We also support the creation of school gardens and nutrition and agriculture education outside of the typical classroom. And we promote hands-on learning opportunities throughout the day and through the fresh fruit and vegetable program. We also support opportunities to get kids out onto the farm and learn about what it's like to be a farmer, rancher, or a fisherman, or even go and visit a distribution warehouse or a processing facility. The most successful farm-to-school programs rely on the support and collaboration between numerous stakeholders, such as students, teachers, parents and community members, school administrators, food service staff, farmers, ranchers and fishermen, processors and distributors, local and national organizations and regional organizations, state agencies, and many more. Collaboration is key for long-term, successful, and sustainable programs. So let's shift gears again and now discuss some of the benefits of Farm to School, because as you can see, everyone really wins from these Farm to School programs. Research has shown that Farm to School works. Farm to School programs can lead to increased willingness to try new foods in students. It also can lead to increased consumption of fruits and vegetables for those participants. And they can also lead to improved knowledge and awareness around gardening, agriculture, and healthy eating when paired with nutrition and agriculture education. So overall, we know that Farm to School programs are a very effective tool in encouraging students and kids to try and consume greater quantities and varieties of fruits and vegetables. School food is a huge market, spending more than $10 billion annually on food. The portion of that is directly to local food and local procurement can really have an impact on local economies. This can be termed and is known as the multiplier effect. So schools currently purchase over $1 billion or nearly $1 billion towards local economic activity when that money is going towards the local community and supporting local and regional food systems. Now the grant program. Since the beginning of the grant program in 2013, we've had great success with Farm to School grants. In the 3-year period, we've had from 2013 to 2016, we've had over 300 grant projects in 49 states, including D.C. and the Virgin Islands. We've granted over $20.2 million in grant funds and had requests from over 1,000 different projects seeking over $75 million. Grantees implement many strategies to increase access to local foods in schools. For example, 50% of past projects included expansion of menu options. 45% included training to help schools and districts procure local and regional foods. And 46% included training for food service staff about menu planning, meal preparation, and cooking with local and regional foods. The overwhelming majority of grant awards, 78%, went to schools or school districts with free or reduced meal eligibility rates greater than 50%. The majority of grantees also plan to incorporate experiential nutrition education activities into their projects and encourage children participation in farm and garden-based agriculture. We do have 4 different types of grants, and while this will be covered in greater detail in the webinars during this week, I will provide a brief summary on all of them. The first is planning grant, which is basically for Indian tribal organizations and eligible schools to really kind of start the nuts and bolts of the Farm to School programs. You can just get started, build a team, and identify a Farm to School action plan. Implementation plans are for the same groups of organizations and individuals who are really trying to dig deeper and really dive into their Farm to School programs. So they will actually begin purchasing from local farmers or building stronger relationships and ties, perhaps creating curriculum about nutrition education and using local foods in the cafeterias. Support services grants are for nonprofits and state agencies and regional nonprofits as well, with the goal of further developing and providing support for Farm to School programs. Training grants are regional and national in focus and connect local producers to school food buyers and provide training on how to do this and make these connections to local foods. Funding for the program is only for projects that ultimately benefit children in grades pre-K through 12 and are served through the National School Lunch Program, the School Breakfast Program, the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and the Summer Food Service Program. We have specific priorities for the 2017 grant cycle. The first is applications from state agencies, and this is to really provide ongoing and long-term support for Farm to School activities in your states and regions. The second is to increase the scope of local procurement and highlight summer bounty and influence eating behaviors of our youngest participants in an early age. We're focusing on projects that aim to bring local or regional foods into school-based child and adult care food programs. and projects that serve children in pre-K settings and school-based summer food service programs. Projects also that include a focus on innovative procurement strategies will be highlighted, so really trying to find a unique solution to some of the problems that have arisen through these farm-to-school programs. And the final component and emphasis during this fiscal year is on project submissions that reach more than one school. Another component of our office involves technical assistance that we provide not only to our grantees but to the wider public as well. At the Food Nutrition Services, we have a special emphasis on procurement, and we have a variety of tools and resources to promote procurement and describe how to do it successfully. We have a guide for procuring local foods for child nutrition programs, and then we have a series of fact sheets and policy memos as well as webinars really digging into how to do these. So we have a fact sheet on geographic preference and how to write bids and use appropriate language to use this for local procurement. We also have some fact sheets on how to work with USDA Foods and DoD Fresh to purchase locally as well. And all of these materials are available on our website at www.usda.gov/farm-to-school, and a quick Google search will help you find that as well. Additionally, we have a farm-to-school toolkit, which is made up of 11 different modules that are designed as worksheets to help program operators develop a strategic plan for implementing farm-to-school efforts. While some of the language is geared towards school districts, the vast majority of information and guiding questions are applicable to all child nutrition program operators. In addition to this toolkit, which you can download online as well, we have a webinar series that really bring to life each chapter and feature different guest speakers from throughout the country. The final component is research and evaluation, and we achieve this primarily through the farm-to-school census. The farm-to-school census has been live for quite some time now, but we do have the 2015 data available for you to look at any time at our farm-to-school census website. The census surveyed school districts throughout the country about their local buying habits during the 2013 to 2014 school year. Of those who responded, 42% of districts said they participate in farm-to-school activities. They spent a total of $789 million on local products and had a total of over 7,000 school gardens. As you can see from the facts on this slide as well, it's over 5,000 districts and 42,000 different schools bringing farm to school and benefiting an estimated 23.6 million children. You can also explore the website and you can look at facts about different farm-to-school programs in your states and your regions, and it's all available online, and you can export the data as well for research purposes. For the 2013 to 2014 school year, there were five top categories of local food purchases that were identified. 78% of those surveyed said that they purchased local fruits, and an additional 75% said they purchased local vegetables. 40% of respondents said that they purchased local milk, 21% said they purchased local baked goods, and 18% said that they purchased local dairy products such as cheese and yogurt. We also asked questions about where the schools are buying their local food from and found that 63% use current distributors to purchase locally. An additional 40% are purchasing directly from producers or from co-ops. 37% are purchasing local foods from food processors and manufacturers, and 30% are purchasing from USDA Foods or DoD Fresh. School districts themselves have also seen benefits from farm-to-school activities. 38% said that they saw greater community support for their school meals. There was also a greater acceptance of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act changes in meal patterns. 21% saw lower school meal program costs, and 17% saw increased participation in the school meals. 18% had reduced food waste because students were more willing to try different fruits and vegetables. So it looks like we're going more quickly than expected, so that means that you can move on with your day's today, but just want to introduce our team very briefly. We have a regional lead in each one of our regional offices. So if you have questions about the Farm to School program, you can contact each of us, and we'll be happy to help you and describe in more detail what it means at the USDA. We also have Farm to Summer and Child and Adult Care Food Program contacts in each office, and they help really dig into those aspects of the operation as well. In our national office, we have a growing team as well. Christina Cannell is our interim national director, and then we have Matt Benson, who focuses on research in the census. Erin Heisem, who is working on Farm to School and Farm to Summer at the national level, and Maika, who is helping with the grant program. Maika Sanderson, apologies. And if you're interested in staying up to date with the work that we do here in the Office of Community Food Systems, we do send out a bi-weekly newsletter that's chock full of updates, webinar info, and relevant news and field notes. So if you just go to the Farm to School page at www.fns.usda.gov/farm to school, you can sign up for that and receive updates directly to your inbox. So hopefully you're now experts in the USDA's Farm to School program. I did see a bunch of questions going through and some resources that Maika has been providing to you. At this point, we are going to answer any questions that have not been answered. Maika, anything coming through? All right, so it looks like no one has any additional questions. If you want to just give it one more moment, you can send those to the chat box and we can try and answer them. But it doesn't look like we're receiving any. So we have a question about farmers markets. But I think we can respond to that question afterwards. So it looks like Christina Cannell is wondering about an awesome grant project. So one that we have up in the Midwest region is up in Bayfield, so that's in northern Wisconsin, and what they did was really combating a rural district in a kind of a more isolated community, and they used seasonal extension, and they wanted to focus on seasonal extension, so they built hoop houses to expand their capacity during the summer months and extend their growing season, and developed a training program focusing on high school students who could mentor and train during the summer months. They could tend to the gardens in the summer and then provide some resources to elementary school students in a peer mentoring program. Okay, so we have another question about reviewing the priorities again. So let's see if I can go back to that slide very quickly. Just bear with me for a moment. Okay, so again, to review the priorities of this fiscal year, we are prioritizing applications from state agencies. We're also prioritizing applications that come that focus on child and adult care food programs, so pre-K programs, and summer food service programs, because it's an area that we're trying to really expand on and ensure that all of our program participants have access to healthy, fresh, local foods. We're also focusing on projects with an innovative procurement strategies to really move forward in farm-to-school procurement, and then project submissions, again, that reach more than one school so they have a wider impact. Okay, so it looks like the question about the grant program, again, we'll be focusing more of that in our upcoming webinars. So again, more details on what to be looking for as you're reviewing the grant applications will come from the next one. Any other questions? Okay, so it looks, and Bill is wondering if the priorities were shared with the grant applications, and yes, all of these, the grant priorities were written in the request for applications, which really outlined everything that the grantees need to be aware of, and we had a series of webinars as well that outlined what our priorities were for this fiscal year. And we have a question about the training grants, and I did say they're for regional and national projects, but it does include states as well. So the training grants could go for training to do procurement in all specific regions throughout an entire state, or only focus on a small community or a specific county, for example. But the training grants really can have a more regional or local scope, or have a state level or national level as well. Just checking the chat box still, since we do have plenty of time allocated to this. Feel free to ask any questions. Give another moment or two. And the application, there's a question here, is the application available now? And I believe on our website you can go and you can look at the application, though of course it is closed. But you can, again, you can just, it's easy to find if you Google USDA Farm to School Grant Program. There is a portion where you can download the request for applications. Great, and we'll be sending out the request for applications in the follow-up email as well. And there's a question wondering about if this presentation slide will be available, and yes, the webinar will be recorded, as well as these slides will be sent out to you. So you can listen to this again, or you can just review the slides, and we will follow up with an email with all of that. So it sounds like all of you are very excited to learn more about the Farm to School program, and as I mentioned earlier, the next webinar will provide more details and provide you with the tools to really be able to objectively review the applications that we receive and make sure that you can move forward in this process. So I just want to thank everyone again for joining us today and for taking time out of your busy schedules to review the applications and expand some of the work that you've been doing here and in your nonprofits and in your roles in general. It looks like we don't have any more questions coming through, so I'm going to wrap it up there. And apologies for the technical difficulties that we had earlier. And this was my first official webinar, so thank you for bearing with me during the process, and I look forward to working with all of you as we move forward in our grant program. Oh, and one last, before you hop off, we do want to just remind you about when the webinars are. So again, the reviewer training will be tomorrow, Wednesday, from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the team lead training is Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you may attend either of those, whether you're a team lead or a viewer. And again, those will be recorded and sent out to you. And we do ask that you try to listen to them prior to the grant review period, which does begin on Monday. And you only need to attend one of those. All right, thank you again, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye, everyone.